Today, in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to add and subtract real numbers. Before we begin, let's go ahead and remember how to add fractions. Let's just go through an example here, 3/5 plus 2/3. Our denominators are 5 and 3. We need to find a common denominator between those two, and in order to do that, what you can do is list out multiples of 5. Let's start with that. So we have 5, 10, 15, and then we have 20. And what I want you to recognize is that the 15 is also a multiple of 3. If we were to carry out the multiples of 3, we would get 15. So 15 is the common denominator for this fraction. So let's write out the fraction problem here. We have 3 over 5 plus 2 over 3. Now, we have to make both denominators 15. So we have to look at each denominator. Over here we have 5. We need to figure out what do we need to multiply the 5 by to get 15, and that is 3. So we multiply top and bottom of this by 3. So that gives us 9 over 15 plus, on this side we multiply top and bottom by 5. So we have 10 over 15. And then when we add the two fractions, we keep the common denominator of 15, but we add the numerators 9 and 10 to get 19. So the answer to the fraction is 9 over 15. So the answer to that problem is 19 over 15. You cannot forget to find the common denominators. Now, let's look at adding and subtracting just regular integers, non-fraction numbers. One way to add two real numbers is to use a number line. To add negatives, you go left on the number line. To add positives, you go right on the number line. So we're going to look at this example using a number line. I'm going to show you how we can use that number line. So if we look at example 1, we have -3 plus 6. We can start at -3 on the number line. And if I want to add 6 to -3, we're going to go right 6 units. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's going to take us to 3, which is the answer to this problem. So in this situation, we started out negative, but we went right on the number line, which brought us over the 0 and right onto the positive side. Look at the next one. We have -1 plus -5. We start out at -1. And then it says to add a -5. That means we go left 5 units. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But that's going to take us out here to -6 on the number line. I didn't have enough of that number line ready. So the answer to this is -6. Another way we can look at adding and subtracting. I have over here a problem set up for us, -3 plus 6. If we look at this problem, we have the red represents negative, the black represents positive. I have 6 negative chips down here, and I have 3 positive chips. And what I want you to notice is that a positive and a negative chip will cancel out. They will cancel out. So these will all turn into 0. So what you're going to be left with is 3 negative chips. So your answer would end up being -3 because that's what's left over. So that's how when we add and subtract numbers that are positive and negative, what a rule for it is if they have different signs, like in this situation, the bigger number is 6. There's more negatives that outweigh the positives. So the answer in this situation would be -3. So let's look at some examples. We're going to look at several different scenarios. The first one we're going to look at is a positive plus a negative number. Positive plus a negative number, they both have different signs. One of them is positive, one of them is negative. So in order to add these two, we have to do they have different signs. So what we do is we take the difference in 7 and 2 and we get 5. And then we take the sign of the bigger number, which is 7, and we get positive 5. On the next example, we have negative 8 plus 4. They each have different signs. One is negative, one is positive. Our negative weighs more. There's more negative if you think about the chips. There's more negative chips. 4 positive chips cancel with 4 negative chips, and we end up with negative 4. So the rule for when we're adding a positive and a negative is we take their difference, and then we take the sign of the bigger number. In the first example, it was positive. The second example was negative. Now looking at letter E, notice that both of these numbers are negative. When they have the same sign, you add the numbers, but then you keep the sign. So 5.3 and 4.9 are both negative. So what we're going to do is we're going to add these two numbers. Now we're doing these with these lessons without calculators. So the way you can add it up with decimals is you can just add it up like this. So we have 3 plus 9, that's going to give us 12. So we're going to carry the 1, bring down a 2. And then we have 9 plus 1 is 10. Kind of ran out of room here, but what we have is 10.2, but then it's going to be negative because both signs are negative. So the answer to this is negative 10.2. Now, in a situation where we have 3 numbers, we're going to start and just add 2 of them at a time. So we're going to start with 7 and 10. We're going to add 7 and 10 first. 7 and 10 add to make 17. So we're going to take 17 plus a negative 2. Now we're down to 2 numbers. Notice one of them is positive, one of them is negative. We take their difference, which is 15, and then we take the sign of the bigger number. 17 is bigger, so it's positive 15 is the answer to that problem. Alright, looking at the next one, we have negative 6 and we have 10. Let's add those up first. We have a negative 6 and a positive 10. They have different signs, so we subtract the 2 numbers. The difference in 10 and 6 is 4. We take the sign of the bigger number, which is positive 10, so we get positive 4 when we add those 2 numbers. And then we're going to add on a negative 3. So we have 4 plus a negative 3. They each have different signs. The 4 is positive, the 3 is negative. We take their difference, which is 1, and then we take the sign of the bigger number, which is 4, so it's positive 1 is the answer. Alright, now we have another fraction one to practice. We have one of these fractions has a denominator of 9, one of them has a denominator of 27. We're looking for the smallest number that both the 9 and the 27 will go into. So that's going to be, if you notice, 9 will actually go into 27. So 27 can be the common denominator. So if I'm looking at the first fraction, I can multiply that by 3. If I multiply top and bottom of that fraction by 3, then I get a new fraction that is negative. See, it's still negative, so don't drop the negative. It's negative 12 over 27 plus 2 over 27. That is going to reduce. We have negative 12. Keep in mind, I forgot to say, remember we keep the same denominator, okay, it's 27. Negative 12 and 2, they have different signs. We take their difference, so we get 10. But then notice that 12 is bigger. That means there's more negative chips outweighing the positive chips, so we put a negative on there. So negative 10 over 27 would be the answer on that one. So that's a few examples on adding real numbers. Check out the next video for subtracting of real numbers. Thank you for watching.